As the West Coast battles disastrous wildfires, the other side of the country still trying to find normality in months after its crisis. Nearly 4 full months after Hurricane Helene devastated parts of western North Carolina, many people still can't go home. And
to make matters worse, some were reportedly kicked out of their FEMA-funded hotel rooms, even after the agency said it had extended those hotel payments, extended that hotel payment program, first until January 25th, and now through the end of March. According to FEMA, more than 10,000 households accepted temporary shelter in hotels participating in the TSA program, but most have since moved to longer-term housing.
Joining us now, North Carolina Congressman Tim Moore. Congressman, thank you for joining us here. Look, when we first became aware of each other, you were the Speaker of the House in North Carolina. You live 90 miles from the center of where this really hit in Asheville. From Speaker to now newly minted Congressman, and from North Carolina's devastation to now, what's still needed? They're off the front lines, but they're not off the front lines of the disaster.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for covering this story right now, because what we're seeing happen in western North Carolina is completely unacceptable. I joined a letter with my colleagues in the Senate and in the House calling on FEMA not to cut these funds off to folks, this temporary transitional housing. We have some very cold weather happening right now. There's been a lot of delays. And for FEMA to talk about cutting off these funds is completely irresponsible. You know, I've told folks, if FEMA would care half as much about the people of North Carolina as they do about these illegal immigrants, we'd be in good shape right now.
It is tragic what happened in western North Carolina, Congressman, and these are the forgotten men and women of the United States of America. These are folks who are living way up in the Appalachian Mountains. And I just look, because there's so much talk about what California is going to need. Well, a lot of these areas that were hurt, there is no richer area in the country and no better area equipped with the highest state taxes in the nation to fund its own recovery, and individuals who are best equipped to lift themselves back up because of their wealth and their riches, but not the people of western North Carolina, by God.
Well, absolutely. And I will say my heart does go out to the people of California dealing with these terrible wildfires. And I think that we need to step up and help them as well. But we probably need to ask for some accountability with some policies that the governor and that state has done that make no sense, that allow these fires to get out of control. But to come back to Hurricane Helene, you know, it's dropped off of the headlines, but it is still top of mind for those of us from our state. We have areas of western North Carolina that are completely devastated. We have thousands who lost their homes, and a lot of them have temporary transitional housing. Some have found other places to live. But the fact that, and what really triggered all of this is that FEMA comes up with some of these arbitrary guidelines of when they're going to stop the funds. And then what really gets under my skin is that even after they assured us that they were going to keep those transitional dollars flowing, people were falling between the cracks. And so we have folks calling our office, calling Senator Tillis, Senator Budd, Congressman Edwards, Congresswoman Fox, calling our offices saying, hey, we're getting ready to get kicked out. And so I don't know if it's a situation where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, but whatever it is, it's got to stop. And so we need to make sure that the resources are deployed there. These are hardworking Americans who they've lived by the rules. That they work. They've played fair, and they've been impacted by a 1,000-year flood is what folks are calling it. I mean, think about it. You have areas that were impacted that aren't even eligible for flood insurance. I think only about 6% of the people or even had flood insurance.
Right. I was going to bring that up because I really disagree with people comparing individuals who were not carrying fire insurance when they could get fire insurance. And that was a decision they made by choice, and somebody who didn't have to get flood insurance because they were never told that they even needed it. But anyway.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
quick point here, Congressman, and maybe something that you can do and that they need to do about FEMA. The preferred provider problem, which is FEMA's preferred providers getting in the way of the Cajun Navy, the Samaritan's Purse people, my organization, American Humane, others that want to come in and actually help the folks.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, had it not been for the nonprofit groups, the volunteers, and the churches, we would have been in an even worse situation back when this was happening. But, you know, those entities can only stay so long before they have to move on. They're not designed for long-term relief. And that's frankly where FEMA is supposed to happen. You know, these folks have paid taxes. They haven't asked for much. But by golly, when it comes to the federal taxes they pay, FEMA needs to step up and do its job. And I can tell you that I, as well as the entire North Carolina delegation, are going to hold them accountable. But fortunately, we're just a few days away to a new president, to President Trump, and he has committed in no uncertain terms that he is going to help Western North Carolina rebuild. In fact, you know, he came out when President Biden, did not show up on the ground. So we're glad he's coming into office soon.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Congressman Tim Moore.
Thank you all.